No matter how many circles Sarah tries to walk the detectives in, they're going to chase her around each one of them, but Sarah never seems to tire. We're going to go into our third part of revisiting Sarah Boone's infamous interview in today's video. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the, sofa. Sofa's back there. My name's Paul. I'm right here. The puppies are actually sleeping on a little floor mat right over there. We'll see how long that lasts, but they are doing well. Now, today we're going to be going into part 3 of revisiting the Sarah Boone interview, interrogation, whatever you want to call it. So if you're just picking this up here, I would suggest going back and watching part 1 and 2. If not, you can still watch this. If you're just looking for something to kind of have going, whatever, it's okay. Pull up to the sofa. We welcome you too. Now, the way, or the lens, I should say, that we look at this through is knowing what we know now, the defense she's trying to go through, the information we have found out. I'm going back over this interview. I did a video with this like years ago, and now again with the trial going on and whatnot, I'm just revisiting it through what we know. So there's that. Again, I'm filming this before the trial's really going. It started, but not 100% like full-fledged in it. So some of the information could be like, well, wait a minute, what about this or that or whatever. So just know that I am recording this at the beginning of the start of the trial. And so that's it. I'm just going to put clips up. We're going to talk about them and go through it. Now, a lot of times what I'll do is I will pick out like, oh, these are the most important clips from the thing. For this one, I am literally going through this entire interview verbatim. That's why it's taken me several parts to get through it. We probably won't get through it today because I still have like an hour of the interview to go, and there's no way I'll be able to get through all that in one sitting. So many things stick out to me is the reason why I'm going for it line by line, moment by moment. So that being said, also keep in mind, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor. I ain't none of that fancy credentialed stuff. Only credentials we got around here is the sofa and some sass. Okay, so that's it. These are just my opinions on very public information, and they are just that. They are not serious or anything like that. So with that being said, let's start going.
No, before you went upstairs. You like consciously had to walk upstairs. You obviously remember going to bed because you were able to give me a time frame on that. And you specifically told me that you went upstairs.
My intention is not for this to happen. I am sick about it. I've never done anything like this before in the past. I am sick, especially with that. I thought I couldn't sleep last night. I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. You tell us the last night, you vividly remember this when you told us last night, that he was laughing, you were laughing, you put him in the suitcase, he has 2 fingers sticking out, and you go to bed. Now we see something totally different, and it actually shows you upset and, again, using derogatory terms to him when he's begging for his life to get out of that suitcase.
So
what
but my thing
you
is
say
that
we're assuming, we're not assuming,
but
we're
the
telling you
fingers,
what's on there.
so it just happened to be that whenever I was videotaping or doing whatever else it was, just happened to not have that in it.
Okay. And you also, in the video, you can't see any holes. There's nowhere in that where the zipper separates and you can see a hole. If there's a hole, he's pushing on it, begging you to get out. We should probably see that hole that
He
you're
eventually
talking
would have
about.
been able to get out.
Yeah.
Alcohol.
Based off what you're telling us, he should have been able to get out.
Okay.
But the video shows him attempting to get out, begging to get out, and he can't. So that's just what we're trying to figure out. I don't know if maybe you had too much to drink, you zipped it up all the way, and then,
I did not zip it up all the way.
I did not zip it up all the way. Where do I even begin with just the first clip? This is why we're going through this line by line. First of all, you hear alcohol. Now, if you've been following these, remember, she is saying in the video here, like, oh, drinking this, drinking that. Oh, we weren't drunk. She fluctuates. Well, now we know she got in the stand at one point trying to talk about, oh, I've been drinking. Now, this is pre-trial. And the state's like, girl, we're going to impeach you if you go down that road because this was never mentioned. And you can see here in all this type stuff where she's, denying these things. But then when it works to her benefit, she does that. Now, at the beginning where she's like, I have never done anything like this before. I am sick. One of the parts that is a hard pill to swallow with this is listening to Sarah and viewing from our perspective how she interprets herself as the victim. And then it makes me wonder from that step forward, what life was like at home. And again, I've said this in every video, but if this is your first time here, whatever, 100% I get that this was no walk in the park relationship on either side, Sarah or George. I get that, right? The state has said this before. They know that there was a tumultuous situation here. They are aware of the things that have taken place. No one's trying to say it was a rosy relationship, okay? On either of their parts, we get that. But the issue is here is seeing what took place. This escalated to this scenario. Clearly, she either doesn't remember or she's lying, right? I think she doesn't remember. The derogatory words, like the investigators are saying, her continually talking about, and this is a huge thing that it comes down to for me, is in this video, she's constantly going back to, he was going to come upstairs. I thought he could get out. I thought he could get out. Well, now she's going with the battered wife thing. And it's like, well, why would you taunt the person who you're that afraid of and then go upstairs waiting for them to come up there? I mean, this is usually something that kind of like defense, or that if you're truly in that, this is reserved for a desperate moment. This does not give desperate to me. This gives I am the abuser to me.
I did not zip it up all the way. This is horrific, okay? Horrific.
It is terrible.
Yeah, so they
Horrific. I don't think I'll ever be right because of this. Ever be right. Dealing with everything else that I have in my life, personally. And then this,
Okay.
whom I loved.
Again, very quick, notice all that. My life, all I've dealt with, all I've been through. There is no level of empathy towards George, and when she does offer it, it doesn't feel authentic. This is the kind of scary part to this.
I will put my hand on the Bible. It was not intentional. I would not do that to him nor anyone else.
But you did.
Not intentional.
You intentionally went up to bed.
I didn't intentionally go to bed because I'm thinking, okay, good, he can get out.
How did you not intentionally go to bed? You said you went upstairs and got into bed. That's intentionally going to bed.
Waiting for him.
Oh yeah, not intentional, unintentional. I didn't do this. I didn't mean to go to bed. I didn't mean to do this. I was waiting for him. That right there, I cannot wait to see how she tries to play this off on the stand. How do you get around that? How do you get around that? Now, also, again, I kind of use this as a scenario, but to me, it's almost like a DUI. And again, at this point, we know she turned down the 15-year manslaughter. This, to me, is like okay, that kind of charge they came at her with was being nice. It was like, okay, there's this evidence of you ridiculing him. He's telling you he can't breathe, this, that, and the other. You leave him, you go upstairs, you pass out. Do I think she meant to pass out? Probably not. It was probably normal to just kind of, like, I mean, think about if you've ever been like Krog. I mean, at this point in life, honestly. I mean, I might sit down talking about, I'm going to answer a text message, and I wake up 8 hours later, and that's stone cold sober, okay? Like, that's just, it is what it is, right? So I don't think that she was like, I'll go to bed. I think she was like, I'm going to go upstairs and make him suffer for a minute. And then she woke up 15 hours later or whatever it was. You know, but she doesn't grasp that it's like, and again, to me, I'm just like, even if you went and hopped in a car drunk, you weren't meaning to go kill a family head on. You didn't mean to do that. I get that. But you got behind the wheel drunk and did the accident and you killed them. So it happened still. It doesn't matter if you meant to or not. You did a careless action, and that's what this is. This is careless. She was drunk. She put him in there. Now, evidence is going to show, if we haven't already seen it, that she was beating the man in the suitcase. Like, there was way more to this than what's going on here. So that's going to pop up too. But this is the part where, again, through the lens of battered wife and all that type of stuff, this evidence right here plays. Next.
Doesn't come, but you don't go down to check on him.
So I happen to go to sleep. When I say go to sleep,
and what do you
it goes
normally
off
do when you
whatever
go to
you're
bed?
gonna do.
What do you normally do when you go to bed?
What do you mean?
What is a bed for? Going to sleep.
Right.
So you go to
But
bed to
obviously
do
you
what?
can tell too that, like, I've
You
been
go to
drinking
bed
also.
to do what? Okay. You kept telling us, hey, I wasn't intoxicated. I wasn't this. I wasn't that.
Being drunk and intoxicated, which, yes,
Okay.
you can tell that I have been drinking, but...
Okay. So if you weren't intoxicated, then why would you ever leave somebody in a suitcase that's begging to get out, that's telling you they can't breathe?
If I hadn't been drinking, you still think it would be the same thing? Where it's like, hop in, I'm going to go to sleep. Is that what you all are trying to do? To portray me
We're not trying
as?
to do anything. I'm simply asking you to explain to me what happened.
Everything was fine and dandy.
I wouldn't call
Everything.
it fine and dandy.
Was fine and dandy.
Explain
You all
to me how.
don't, okay, for me to tell you this, again, mind you, I've been without him for a day now.
Mhm.
Everything was fine and dandy. The part that's so frustrating about this is watching her and again, it's almost like I can almost get there where I'm like, I think she really just does not believe that she has any level of guilt with this, where she's just, this was an accident, therefore, sorry, let's move on. And again, that last thing before we get into the next part, I've been without him for a day. George has lost his life for a day. It's like this interesting psychological perspective. Obviously, it's frustrating, but psychologically it's interesting, like if you're studying human behavior, to be like, just the way her viewpoint of how she interacts with everything and people around her is so, whoa. Like, wow, okay. She just doesn't grasp it. It's like she almost gets there where the cops don't. We're just asking you to explain what's on the video. Mind you, we also know the cops are trying to extract as much information from her as they can. They already know they are going to arrest her, right? So it's a wrap, okay? They're just trying to get a confession of this, that, other to get her to slip up. We see these oftentimes in this where they'll keep circling back and keep circling back and keep circling back. And again, I'll say this 100 times over. Sarah's best thing that she could have done at a certain point in this interview is lawyered up. The second that video came out, it was already probably too late at that point with the information she had said, because she was like, no, it was a great day, we were having fun, we were doing this, was to lawyer up. So I'm sure it makes sense in her side. Of course she wants it suppressed, right? Please, that's a given. Of course she wants that suppressed. Anybody would.
I don't know. I don't know what you all want me to tell you, because this was not in any way, shape, or form, hand on the Bible, intentional.
Okay. So you just left
I
him there to
didn't kill
teach
him.
You left him there to teach him a lesson?
I didn't mean to leave him there. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You got up and walked away. How is that not intentionally leaving him there?
Because I'm looking at the hole, knowing that it's there. He'll get out no problem. Because you
And
don't.
then he doesn't, but you don't go check on him. You say you're up for 30 minutes, and he doesn't come up. You don't go down and check on him?
I'm in the bed.
You even moved.
And off.
You admit to moving the suitcase over. So
You roll it.
You roll it out. It's not like
I didn't want it to be like that. Don't.
you didn't want him to be upside down. How do you even get upside down?
Right.
The thing playing in the background is sending me, okay? Listen to this, but you flipped it over. How did it get that way? Again, what's unfortunate, if you remove yourself from the whole, everything about this case, obviously George lost his life in a horrifying way. What is unfortunate is that through this unbridled behavior, when she says I'm blaming it on the wine, that's literally what's going on here. What happened is she got crocked. They did their same little routine. She was going to punish him of some sort. She left him down there and he died. That's exactly what happened. You can't say, there's just nothing else to it. I didn't mean to. I was going to go to sleep. I was going to do this. I was waiting for him to come up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Either she or both they, whatever, were drunk, doing their routine of arguing, all this type of stuff, and things got out of control. Now, I don't know if this evidence has come up yet because it hasn't taken place as of now, but when you see this, it might have. But there's some kind of a person that's going to testify, and I can't remember if it's the maintenance person or someone from the apartment, someone claiming that she has said something about oh, I was trying to teach him a lesson and got out of control, when this happened, the day that she was still at home and the cops were coming, all this type of stuff. And I just think that that's the truth. I think it's as simple as that. Yeah, I don't think she remembered making the video. No, I don't think she remembers how it got that. I think she blacked out and beat the living what out of this man when he was in that suitcase, threw him down the stairs, pummeled him with whatever, and he's set in there and suffocated. I just think it's as simple as that. And again, as frustrated as she's getting in these video clips, it's like, girl, you been needed to have said, I want a lawyer. At this point, it's easy for me to sit on the damn sofa talking about, well, I would have done this, I would have done that. I'm not her in this scenario, okay? I completely understand that. But just from this bystander perspective, it's like, this is where you say, am I under arrest? Am I free to leave? If not, okay, I want a lawyer. We're done talking. I want a lawyer. Period. Right? But again, at this point, it's the evidence they have on her for this very reason. She over and over, I was waiting for him to come up. I was waiting for him to come up. Well, then why would you talking about I was afraid he's going to kill me? Please. No.
You guys are killing me right now.
I just want you to hear.
Probably shut the fuck up.
That's how he talks to me most of the time. I don't know how you want me to say it.
I'm just trying to figure out what you would expect to happen to somebody when you leave them in a suitcase.
I didn't mean to leave him in there.
Okay.
What's your reasoning for not calling 911 sooner?
Because I didn't know what to do and how horrific it was. I called Ryan, and 5 minutes later I called you guys? Not even 5 minutes. Nonetheless, that I had to I was trying to do CPR. I had to get him out and try to do CPR and then called you guys. And then was continually doing CPR with the dispatch on the phone, where he had me count out loud to help me focus on what I was doing.
At the time of this recording, I've not seen testimony confirming this or not, because I go two ways with this. I'm like, okay, was she lying about doing the CPR? Because I also see it as this. When she got up and realized that this man was dead, she freaked out, because she probably was honestly just as surprised as anybody. Like, what? What happened last night? So when she saw that he was dead, I could see her not doing CPR to save his life, doing CPR to save her life.
It just, I don't know how, I mean, you can sit here all day long and say, I thought he was going to get himself out, but he didn't, and you went upstairs, and you stayed there for 30 minutes before you fell asleep.
But can I say, too,
You chose not to ever at any point during that 30 minutes walk back down and check on him.
No, wait 1 second. Because I know, with you all, and then, because you continually ask me, time frames, where I told you, I don't bother even looking at the clock most of the time. So it's a guesstimate. So for all I know, maybe it was 10 minutes.
Okay. But the point is, you left the living room where he was begging for help and went upstairs. Regardless of how long you were there, you left. You say,
I thought he was the boy calling wolf.
Okay, now a couple of things with this one. First of all, I get what Sarah's saying here, and this goes for any of these cases that we see where it's like, okay, now this time, what did you do here? Okay, and then but when they're doing these timelines, they're asking people to recall something that's whatever, right? Now, granted, this is only a couple of days here. I get that part where it's well, it's a blur. I don't ever keep track of time. I don't know how to do this. But where it goes left or right is it's well, yeah, if this is truly there is no, it was truly an accident of some sort, then it wouldn't be as imperative at a certain point, right? But because this is obviously intentional or whatever, it's more imperative to be well, how long were you up there? It's because the cop just said, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen by leaving someone in the suitcase? And she probably, in her drunken mindset, thought, I'm just going to make him sleep in that overnight. He's going to pay for that. Or I'll get up in 30 minutes or an hour and go back down there, something, right? I don't think she honestly meant to leave him in there and to kill him. I don't think that was her intention. I mean, I do believe that. But there's that fine line, and again, I'm not a lawyer or whatever, again, it's almost like this. You're walking in the park, and you see someone on the bench who's been in an accident, and they're like, oh my God, I'm bleeding out. Please call 911. And you keep walking and leave them and they die. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, then you get into this whole thing of like, okay, now granted, the difference is that it's like she seemingly got him into the suitcase. Obviously, if you're walking in the park and you're the cause of the person bleeding out, it's a whole other thing. But there's these different components to this case, which makes it, to me, legally fascinating because of this right here, where it's just like, yeah, I mean, like, girl, you left somebody asking for help. I get they were in a relationship. I get this was probably like whatever it was, not the suitcase, but this was normal. Just like she said, he was crying. I thought he was crying wolf. They probably had some kind of drama like this every day. Not did this level of like locking suitcases up, but this type stuff. Getting back and all that kind of things, you know, revenge, little, you know, taking jabs at each other. I believe her when she says that, like, oh, I thought he was crying wolf. I thought he was doing this. I thought he was doing that. She probably did, but again, what she doesn't also get is it's just like clear. It's like, girl, you were blackout drunk. You don't remember this video. So are we sure we were making correct decisions and assumptions? I think not.
So when he asked to be let out, like, what's your reasoning for not letting him out?
When I was upstairs?
No, when he's asking on the video, he asked multiple times. He asked to be let out. I can't breathe. What? Like, why didn't you let him out?
Well, number one, I had no idea it was going to end like that.
Okay.
Number one.
Okay.
Number two, just, you know what? I'll give you 5 minutes or so in there. They'll give you 5 minutes or so.
5 minutes for what?
Well, based off the video, one video's at 11:12 and the next one's at 11:23, so you actually gave him at least 11 minutes per video recording. So my thing is, when it stopped, he asked multiple times. I mean, why? Why did you not let him out? It's just a simple question.
To be honest with you, I mean,
Don't
Were
know.
you punishing him?
no, just,
Well, that's what you're saying in the video.
Okay, this part right here, because this is what's really going on. She is punishing him on some level. Because just a minute ago where she said, I'll give him 5 minutes in there, literally, it's, okay, you know how like those shows, like I'm thinking like American Horror Story, the Asylum one, where they would like send the patients to that hot bath treatment thing, and they'd be like, give her 20 in a hot bath. It's almost like Sarah's like, give him 5 in the suitcase. It was a form of punishment, and it makes you wonder like what other ways was she punishing him? Because that whole thing, I'll give him 5 minutes. That's creepy, okay? It's like giving the kid 5 minutes in timeout. Like that was the timeout for him. You know, so then when they're trying to get at that, because it's almost like they're wanting her to say it, I was punishing him. Because to me, that's completely what it seems like.
This is what you get. This is
Yep.
what you make me feel like.
see, and then it's all backfired on me. Like, it's all backfired on me. And I understand the severity of this.
Yeah, he's dead.
It's awful, I know.
Okay.
It's awful. And I will tell you both this right now, too. I will never drink alcohol again.
Okay.
Like, I will never drink alcohol again. I don't care what it is in any way, shape, or form.
Oh my God. The way, it's awful. I mean, my God, I'll never drink alcohol again. And again, well, obviously unless she's been doing that toilet hooch in jail, it's like, yeah, we know, girl, it's going to be a minute, okay? And I think anybody would be making these deals with God basically right now. Like, I swear to God, if you let me get out of this, I'll never drink another thing again. I mean, you know, I get it, right? I mean, at this point, it's just, I think at this point too, she has realized she's in trouble, but she doesn't know the severity of it yet, obviously, because she thinks she can still talk her way out of it. She thinks there's some bargaining to do of like, I'll never drink again, I'll never do this, and blah, 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 blah. You know, and it's just like, yeah, this is getting ready to end and not the way that she's hoping for.
But let's get back to this. What was the reason for leaving him when he's begging to be let out? I don't understand that.
What I have a feeling was, and again, it's the whole time frame thing. You all keep
I'm
asking.
not asking a time frame. I don't care about a time frame. He's
So-
in the bag saying, I can't
my God.
and you say, fuck you.
So, for, the whole few minutes that he was in there,
Minimum 11, but yes.
Thank God she said that. Minimum 11, but go ahead. Sarah is a master at minimizing too. For the few minutes that he was in there, she's trying to get frustrated. See, here's the thing. Flip this around, invert the scenario. Imagine being at home and arguing with her. And when I say arguing, I'm talking, I always use this in my videos if you watch me. Someone left the milk out. Someone spilt a little something. I'm talking basic stuff. Imagine the circular logic that you would go through on a daily basis with her, where she is not going to take accountability. Most people, when you deal with someone like this and you're forced to, they just pander because it just makes it easier to pander. Tell them what they need to hear, give them what they want, and get them on their way. Now, if you're stuck with a person, this is where toxic relationships come up and all this kind of stuff. But that's why personalities like Sarah end up having this level of entitlement, because they have learned over time that whether it's expired coupons at the checkout, this, that, or the other, something at home, whatever, they will get what they want by this behavior. And sadly, they're trained that way. I don't know how it works in other countries. And like, so specifically, let's talk about this. If you are from another country, I would be curious to hear your feedback on this. Let's just talk about the expired coupon thing. So here in America, and I think this is changing, retail establishments have trained customers to act any way they want to act, talk any way they want to talk, and they will get what they want. So this is where I say the expired coupon thing, because you see these viral videos of people freaking out on retail workers because, you know, they had to do this or they had to do that. My coupon's this, whatever the case is, and that they're rewarded for it. And I mean, I personally think that a huge part of society, and I speak mostly here in the States, that has started to just get like bleh, is because of this mentality, where through situations like corporations and retail establishments training people, and not everybody, right? The majority of people don't act like this. Yeah, but the ones that do, and they've trained them, no, come in here, talk to our staff however you want to. We'll give you your free stuff. We'll replace it. We'll do what you want eventually. And so they've done that. I do think it's changing some, and we're now moving away a little bit from the customer's always right, that type of thing. So I'm curious, if you live in another country, is this the norm? Like, could you go into the grocery store, slam stuff around and lose it and be rewarded for the behavior? Or is this like an American thing? I don't know. I'm very curious, because I look at people like Sarah and I think that she is a direct result of that. Now, not just, you know, retail, corporate, all that kind of stuff. There's lots of other stuff going on here too. But again, just seeing this inability to accept what she's being told, I'm like, oh yeah, we see viral TikToks of this all the time. You know, people flipping out over something that so obviously is not correct, right? But it's like, you wanna, no, this is all broken.
11.
From one video.
Well, in between the two videos. It's
Between the two
11 minutes.
videos? Okay.
Yeah.
So what's the question again?
When he's begging for his life, telling you he can't breathe, let me out, and you say, fuck you, why don't you just let him out? What are you trying to prove to him? There was obviously something in your head that you were thinking of when he was asking to be let out, and you're like, no,
again, it's the boy calling wolf.
Okay, but where does this game end? You say this is a game, you got somebody in
obviously,
there.
like the wrong way.
So what was your intention for leaving him in there?
And it's not fair. It is not fair. You guys are trying to, again, oh, he's in there. Night, night.
That's what happened.
No.
That's absolutely what happened.
Intentionally.
I'm sorry. The way Sarah is so dramatic. Like the puppies have joined us now. They're looking at me like, Dad, what are you doing? They're like, are you watching Sarah Boone? Sarah is so dramatic. The way she's like, you guys again are trying to, in the suitcase, night night. And the way she just deadpan stares at him, not intentional. She basically goes into this where that's all she can bark for a while, right? Not intentional. Not intentional. But did you hear her saying this is at the root, I believe, of Sarah's issues, where she goes, it's not fair. You know, and again, I'm just like, well, what was fair? Was it fair to be, you know, locking this man up in a suitcase and give him 5 in the suitcase? She's so hung up on that, but oftentimes you see with these personality types, and again, I don't remember who said this or where I saw this or whatever, but consider people who are like this, the things that they are saying, little confessions. So all these things that she's doing and saying, it's like they're these little miniature confessions that she's trying to gaslight and whatnot. And this whole thing of, it's not fair, it's not fair. Again, that's at the center of this personality type where nothing is fair. They're always wrong. They're always the victim. They've done so much. And she has said this all throughout this interview. She did this for him. She did that for him. Like, she's entitled. Like, it's like the final annoyance on this man's part to have died in the suitcase. You know what I'm saying? Where it's just like, you know, but again, circle back. Where are we at? We are at the battered wife syndrome. I literally cannot believe that she is convinced that she can use that defense after watching this again. And again, I'll say it 100 times during this whole refilming of this interview. Her former attorneys had to have been like, girl, are you crazy? Now, I know they didn't talk like that. They might have at a certain point. They had to have been like, are you crazy? There is no way we are going to use that defense.
How's it not? You got up off the couch, walked up the flight of stairs, and got in your bed.
Thinking he was going to get out.
And he didn't, and you still didn't go down and check
And it's
on
the
him.
whole 30-minute thing that you guys are trying to
I don't
do.
care about 30
whatever.
minutes.
It's like, for all I know, it's 10 minutes.
He's begging for his life. He's begging for his life, telling you he can't breathe.
I don't know what you want me to tell you. Like, I don't. I didn't intentionally mean for this to happen.
But you
Then what
can't
did you
tell us
intend?
why you left him in there and went upstairs. That's my only issue. Like, what am I supposed to write? What do I write?
So my thing is, though, it's what I have a feeling is I went upstairs and just hit the bed kind of thing. But, again, I'm thinking he'll be up here any minute. But then I go out.
But my question is, why didn't you just let him out prior to going up?
I don't know why.
He's begging to be let out. He's not laughing. He's not having fun.
Guys, I know. I don't know.
This was supposed to be fun. You were laughing before. Before you said he was laughing, you were laughing, you went upstairs, he had his fingers out of the bag and he was playing. Well, obviously that's not the case.
So are you guys, so what is it you're trying to, like...
We're just trying to figure out why.
Why? What?
Why?
What was the motivation for leaving him in the bag?
Why he was left in the bag? Why the video?
I didn't have any motivation. It was me, he and I having a great day, fooling around and being stupid, and apparently me going upstairs and hitting the bed.
Hitting the bed. Okay, she's starting to come around. What are y'all getting at, she asked. Now, once again, I'll say it a million times in this. Whatever she is trying to pull off with this defense is blown out of the water. She was waiting upstairs for him, but isn't he supposed to be coming up there to kill you? In my world, with the defense that she's trying to pull off, that is the level of fear you had to have. Is I had to have this man trapped in the suitcase to keep him from coming. He was going to kill me if he got out. Then why are you sitting there upstairs, waiting for him to come up? Again, she's not going to use the word punish herself. I mean, who would, right, in this point? Even that's what she was meaning to do. But it's like they're getting to that motivation, and I believe Sarah when she's like, there wasn't one. I don't think there was. I think in a drunken state, there probably was a level of punishing, but she doesn't want to say that. And when I say sober Sarah, we're talking like maybe she hasn't had a drink in the last few hours that we've seen her in this video, right? I'm guessing at this point Sarah's probably getting up drinking, this type of stuff. She might have been thrown off a little bit today because she spent the night at her ex's house and whatever she did, right? What I'm trying to say is sober Sarah is having to make excuses for blacked out drunk Sarah, and that never... It's really hard to do that. You know what this almost reminds me of? If you watch horror movies, if you follow me on the horror movie channel, or if you watch them, the movie The Substance, not going to do spoiler alerts for it, but like essentially if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about, where one side of a person's having to make up excuses for another side, and it's almost like they're two different people in one body.
Not going to sleep, where it's like, I'm tired now, I'm going to go to sleep.
That's excluding, that's a good analogy for the day, excluding the fact that he's got a bump on the back of his head, a bump on the front of his head, and his lip is busted, and he has a bump on his eye.
I don't know what you all want me to tell you. Like, this is not fair at all.
Yes.
That you all are assuming that that's from me.
Where else did it come from?
If you were, say it's opposite, you were in the suitcase and you're asking to be let out, would you hope that that person would let you out? Like, you're asking to be let out of a suitcase. Should they not let you out?
Eventually. I'm guessing. I mean, I'm blaming it on the wine.
That's the name of this thumbnail. I'm blaming it on the wine. I'm sorry. That's the name of this thumbnail. I blame it on the wine. And honestly, at this point, what else can you do? Yeah, my term for this is charge it to the game. Now, the kids might have a new version of this. You know what I'm saying? I'm blaming it on the wine. Charge it to the game. Whatever it is now. I probably didn't even know it, but this is literally what's going on here. And so, also this. I don't know what you want me to tell you. Look at all the things she's thrown against the wall. It's like she's trying to guess what does everybody want to hear? What is the best thing here? And I'm going to throw it out there. But here's the other thing. Coming back to this. And again, at the time of this recording, we know she's been offered 15 years. They did it open court. She said no. Manslaughter, 15 years. Already served 5. You know, it has to do 85 of that. I mean, come on. I don't understand how you can be so divorced from the black and white aspect of this. I'm not talking about race. I'm talking about the looking at the evidence they have. It's black and white. There's no real gray zone here. Okay. How can you not say, I can kind of see how the accountability of my factor in this 15 years is pretty sweet. Because again, the judge said, I believe it was 22 and a half years minimum. Do we think he would give her the minimum? That's a fair damn judge right there if he does. Most of the time when you've cost them this kind of money and you've sent them through this, trust me, they're going to make it worth their while. If they were willing to give you 15 and the minimum is 22, I just think that it's almost like for safety's sake, because someone who is this convinced that they are not accountable for any part of this, she has a child. What happens there? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, what happens there when it's, I didn't mean to leave him in the car. Now, granted, I know the kid's older than that at this point, but you see what I'm saying? Like I said, it wasn't my fault. You know, I forgot they were in the car. It's not my fault. You know, that's the kind of mentality we're talking about.
So you guys are like assuming that.
You keep saying we're assuming. Well, we're not. We haven't assumed anything.
But you guys are assuming that that's what I did.
No, by what
Like, this
the facts of what happened. We got there. You said you pulled him out of a suitcase. You said you went up. You went to bed. We're not assuming that. These are the facts that you're telling us.
But
now
what
we're
you
asking
said is
you
like,
to
I'm
explain
tired. Oh, I'm tired.
Well, that's what you told me on a sworn recorded statement yesterday. Because when I said, you went upstairs and passed out, you were like, no, I did not pass out. You got attitude with me because you were thought I was assuming that you were drunk. So that's an assumption. That was an assumption when I said you passed out. And guess what? You corrected me.
You were very adamant about the fact that both of you had your wits about you. What's your favorite word to use?
Compass mentis.
You've used it today too, to say that you guys were within your wits. There's two empty bottles of wine.
No, but we didn't drink both of them.
I think you did.
We didn't.
There's receipts for the statement.
They were both purchased yesterday, so I don't know how you didn't, because they weren't there the day before.
The one
There's
was.
2 Publix receipts from yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Only thing purchased on either one was a single bottle of wine, 2 of them. So we have each bottle of wine that was empty in your garbage can that you purchased yesterday, or he purchased, but you two would have consumed together.
Okay, well, I
mean, there's receipts, so it's not even worth the...
Throw your grocery store receipts away. Just throw them away, people. Don't hold on to them. I mean, it's for this exact damn reason right here, right? Here's the thing. Okay, so knowing what we know now again, with the defense is that she's doing all this bit right here where they're like, but yesterday you told us that you weren't drunk. You were adamant. We were in our capacities. Now it's that. Remember, she tried to pull this on the stand pre-trial talking about, I think I was still intoxicated for like the interview or whatever. She probably was. Here's the thing. When you're drinking like this or whatever, you're not going to, with 24 hours of detox, your brain's still figuring itself out of any kind of thing, right? It takes a while. So it's like, yeah. Now, I personally would venture that she might be at the level of on her way driving to the interview, you know, throwing one back. You know what I'm saying? Now, I don't know. That's just sofa speculation. That's me making that up. I don't know her. So that's not fact. That's not true to, you know, the best of my abilities, but it's just, you know, an assumption on my part. I love how the cop also was like, that was an assumption on your part. You got attitude with me. Sarah doesn't like to get back what she puts out there. We've seen this. And again, I just question What is she trying to arrive at with this level of evidence? I don't understand how she doesn't see it. I don't, for the life of me, I don't get it. I do not get it. In my world, there has to be an end game, and the end game cannot be a jury will see the truth in this and say not guilty, right? Like, to me, I can't wrap my mind around that she's honestly thinking that, but at this point, I'm left to think that maybe she is.
So I don't know what you guys are, I don't know.
We were just hoping that we could figure out why you...
What was the motivation?
There was no motivation.
Wow.
Well, we're watching a video that, after talking to you, everything was laughing and fun. Now we're watching a video where it's not laughing and fun. He's begging for his life, and you are in a very angry voice telling him to fuck off.
No.
Yes, that's absolutely what it was. It's not an assumption. The video's there. We played it for you.
So you guys think that I intentionally...
You did. You
It
got up
doesn't matter
off the couch
it doesn't
and
matter
walked
what
up
we
the couch,
think.
or walked up the stairs and got into bed. That was intentional. There's no way getting around that. You intentionally did that. Nobody drugged you up there. You didn't float up damn stairs.
Okay, well, it's not fair. It's not fair that you guys keep trying to say that that's what I did.
At this point, I would be banging my head against the wall of how it's a detective's, okay? Now, here's the thing. They are just trying to extract information. That's why this keeps going on and on. And it just keeps this circular thing. I mean, literally, I'm like, oh my God. She doesn't grasp, and I don't think she still does. This is one of the questions that I have. Sarah doesn't grasp in this moment that it doesn't matter any of the behind-the-scenes stuff. On video, a person is asking to be let out. She goes upstairs and passes out and ignores her pleas for help. It doesn't matter that y'all had this toxic history. It doesn't matter that you were drunk. It doesn't matter. None of this stuff matters. Now what she is trying to filter it through is battered wife syndrome and Well, again, she said so many times in the video that she was waiting for him to come upstairs, and that was her assumption that that's what he would do because she left it open. Then why are you trying to say you were afraid for your life? Because in my world, when you were pulling the card of battered spouse syndrome and you were forced to do this, that is what you were essentially saying. And the cases that I have watched before, and again, I'm not trying to sit here talking about, well, look, I read a Google page on this, so I know. I've said it 100 times. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a cop. None of this stuff that, you know, they have this history with it. I'm literally a sassy sofa viewer, right? So when I say, oh, well, I've seen this stuff, I'm aware that I'm nobody, okay? 100%. And each of these cases are like our fingerprints. They're all different. That's just how it is. The things that I have seen where people have done this, and it's, when I say successfully, it's been like they still did time in prison. Sometimes decades before laws change and they were able to get out. Okay, it's such a rarity that this is a successful defense. That's why it boggles me that she thinks she can pull this off. And I'm sure the attorneys that left in the past were literally like just literally banging their heads on the table. Like, this is not going to work. The fact that they've got some person that's going to be testifying, again, I don't know when you're watching this, they might have already come up in the stand, that's going to be talking about she's got battered wife syndrome. How? What? Again, they just got to play this video. Of course she wanted it suppressed.
I don't know what to tell you.
You told us that. You didn't go upstairs?
Again, there was a hole in a suitcase. I unzipped it from the hole with one finger.
Well, the damn hole didn't do him no good, did it?
But he could push it open.
No, he
Did
couldn't.
I
The video
No.
shows him pushing up.
And
If he could push it open, why wouldn't he have gotten out himself? Why would he beg you to open it?
tell
Okay.
you he can't breathe.
Okay.
If someone
I-
can do something for themselves, they're going to do it. They don't need assistance unless they need assistance.
So, but why would he start doing it?
Because he couldn't, because it was all the way zipped.
Okay.
Didn't see it.
It wasn't. I intentionally didn't do it. That I intentionally did not do.
What's that? You didn't intentionally do what?
Zip it all the way.
Okay. pause here. I intentionally, so look at how little things change. I intentionally didn't do that. Do what? Zip it all the way. So this to me is now, this is why the cops will drag these interviews out for hours and hours and hours and hours and ask these same questions over and over and over and over and over. Because on this part right here, now we're maybe admitting that, okay, well, maybe it was zipped all the way. Because again, at the heart of this, it's like she doesn't realize it doesn't matter that it was that way. It's like, and I get, trust me, it would suck. It would suck, okay, to wake up and be like, drunk self, non-sober self, did something really dumb and someone lost their life over it, okay? It would suck. I am not even trying to tell Sarah that part would not suck, okay? Think about any time, like I think back, younger days, drinking, partying, doing all that. If I had been sat down and said, Paul, the reason you're here is because, it gives me goosebumps, because last night blank happened. Horrifying. Okay, and that could have happened to anybody, right? I mean, you never know. Now, granted, I get this is very particular, okay? Like, not many of us are gonna be like, oh, you're probably sitting there thinking, oh yeah, Paul, honey, last I checked, I wasn't putting my husband or girlfriend, whoever, in the damn suitcase, talking about I'm going to bed, okay? I understand that part, right? Went out, did whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, something that's more reasonable that everybody can kind of relate to. Like, you went to the bar, you came home, you killed somebody on the road, this type thing. That's what I'm getting at. And that part, yes, I'm like, Sarah, trust me, I get it. They cannot get that part in her head. But again, now she's giving this little bit of, well, I didn't intentionally zip it all the way up. Yeah, because that's the part too where they're like, she's so, and this is the part that works against her. She's trying to convince them in the interview, accident, didn't mean it, didn't do this. Whereas now she's trying to say, and again, this time, I don't know exactly, she could have even gone up on the stand, right? We probably, by the time you're seeing this, it could be like a week or so into the case, where I'm recording this like at the very jury selection, okay? So she's now trying to just completely say the opposite of that. And again, I'm not sure what the end game here, other than just anything. Throw anything against the wall, see what works. She's also convinced that there is more evidence on her phone of all this abuse that he's given her. But once again, it's like no one doing this. Think about it, the cases we followed. And I know I've said it in part 1 and 2, like the other things, but just think of any case that we followed where this ended up going through. Or where the woman did, and you know, I get that it can go either way, you know what I'm saying? Because again, I've said like this 100 times over, I think she was the abuser in this particular situation, even though I know they both went back and forth. But most of the time, it is a female in this scenario that either loses her life or is forced to kill the male, right? So think about the cases that we followed, that a female is doing life sentences, all this type of stuff, over a scenario where you know, looking at the evidence, he was going to kill her. Period, end of story. He was going to kill her. She had this moment. Or they were in a fight, a true fight. She did this. You are not going to see, well, she locked him in the bathroom door and then cussed him out and called all these names and kind of left the key near where he could get it and then went upstairs and went to sleep thinking he'd come back up there. It's not going to happen. Okay, it's not. Or it would be a completely different case because it would be him on trial because she would be dead. You see what I'm saying? So if this went down the way that Sarah's talking about, it's like, well, then how did you survive the evening? Because someone who was that over the top most likely would have gotten out of that suitcase and you would have been done. Because if it was truly to that level, imagine how pissed off that man would have been. Imagine that. First of all, he would have gotten in the damn suitcase, right? In that scenario. Secondly, she would have been done. That would have been her last night because he would have gone upstairs and killed her, right? That would have just pushed him over the edge. So this is the double-edged sword of this entire thing.
He nor I.
Well, he's dead as a result of your action.
On each other.
He is dead as a result of
I
your
understand
action.
that.
So,
that's why this.
You two didn't lay hands on each other.
No. No. I don't have anything.
You're right.
He doesn't. Whatever that is, whatever it is.
He does.
See, this is what happens. It's not fair that you guys, just because he has those, automatically blame it on me. Like,
well, what about when you had your injuries and he gets arrested? Is that not fair?
Really? Like,
it's
really?
the exact same thing. He has injuries. You have injuries. Like, what does that mean?
I don't have any injuries.
Correct.
Because he and I have not been at it with one another.
So every time that you guys fight, you both hit each other? So you should have probably gone to jail all those times that he went to jail for domestic?
Well, the one time I did.
I mean, she's painting herself in the damn corner. The thing is, he does have injuries. That's what they're saying. Yeah, you don't have any injuries. He's the one who's got all the injuries. This is the thing y'all, I can't. This is the thing with this. I cannot. I wish we had been there to see the judge's face when he watched this. This is killing me. This is absolutely killing me. And I love how they're like, so, well, every time you had an injury, he went to jail. So you don't think you should? Again, you can't tell personality types like this. You cannot give personality types like Sarah's back their own energy. They can't handle it. They can dish it out all day long. All day long they can dish this out. Cannot handle it to save their life.
But he completely trashed the police report. Because that's nothing what happened. Because the reason why I got taken in was because my story was different than his. So I'm being portrayed as like this abuser.
We're not saying that he doesn't abuse you.
Absolutely.
We're not saying.
So I'm the one that's being portrayed as the abuser.
Because
I have never dealt with anything like this before. I don't know what to do, how to do it, and I always know what to do and how to do it.
Yeah. I don't know what to do and how to do it, and I always know what to do and how to do it. You heard them say, we know he abused you. They've been saying this the whole time. Okay, and that's where it gets dicey, because what she's doing, in my opinion, is taking these statements like, well, they said that. There's an entirely different level of toxic, mutually abusive relationship to, I had to do what I do to save my life, right? I mean, come on. I would venture to say that this probably would have escalated to a certain point where he might have been put in that position at some point. Yeah, now how would that have fared out? Who knows? Again, it's psychologically fascinating watching her with her back against the wall. One thing that will be interesting is if she does decide to take the stand and do a narrative testimony or whatever you call it, which could very well pop up. I mean, this could be a thing, right, that she could end up doing, is the narrative. To see her on cross-examination will be something else. Now, at this time, who knows, maybe she had done this and you're like, well, probably she's already been there. We'll see. And trust me, I'll make a video on that. But watching her behavior in this, I can't imagine her on the stand. And this is where the jury will see right through her, if they haven't already.
This, I don't know. So I don't know, like, what's going on or, like...
We are simply trying to find out as well. Again, we got one side of the story. You're telling us we're going with what you're saying, but then we find stuff that negates what you're telling us.
And I don't even remember doing that.
Okay. You're telling us that we're assuming stuff, but what we're simply doing is telling you what we saw in the video and repeating what you told us.
I understand. Because I don't remember that.
Okay. Doesn't mean it didn't happen just because you don't remember it.
So is the texting thing something about me? Like, what's...
Is the what? Texting? Oh, no, I'm texting.
No,
You guys are scaring me, so, like, I don't know, like, what to expect. I mean, I had questions of things that need to be taken care of. Like, I don't...
What are your questions?
Now, before we get into the questions, look at how, this is another way she tells on herself. He pulls him out. Is the texting about me? You know, the whole thing about, like, her talking about, I called, you know, to be like, y'all are scaring me. What's going on? Remember, Sarah claims that she called the female detective, who, again, the jury's still out on that, right? The female detective acted kind of like, do you have evidence of it? Well, then I don't remember. You know, come on. Her paranoia about it. Now, we're going to get into the questions. Remember, she showed up to this interview with questions. Again, her whole thing is that she was tricked into this interview, that it wasn't supposed to, you know, happen, whatever. She shows up with questions, and she might have been thinking, like, I'm going to talk to the manager type scenario. I get that, right? But again, she's just now starting. This is like an hour or so into the interview. Y'all are scaring me. What's going on? Now, again, I'm in the comfort of the home and the sofa, so I don't have the adrenaline that's going on here. I don't have the situation that she's in. So it's easy for me to say, well, I would have done this. But this 100%, she should have already asked for a lawyer and stopped talking. She has dug herself so deep. You can't get around this. And again, the black and whiteness of the suitcase video, that's already a nail in her coffin. This is like shoveling the dirt on it.
I have one last question. You realize you're the person that killed him, right?
I thought about that.
Okay, you left him in a bag when he's begging you, saying, I can't breathe, let me out, and you said, fuck you. and you got up off the couch and went upstairs and left him in that bag?
Not intentionally.
Again,
I would never do that to George.
you did.
Not
It happened.
intentionally. Know that.
I don't.
Know that.
You got up and you went up to bed.
Alcohol is a shitty thing.
That could also be the name of the thumbnail, but I can't do that for YouTube. Alcohol is an ishy thing. Know that. Again, imagine her at home. Imagine her with the attorneys. Now that we know she went through all of these, where when she is not willing to see another viewpoint. In the first part where he was like, you do realize you're the one who killed George. I've thought of that or whatever. I've considered that, however she said it. Again, don't blame her when I admit to that either. She, I get it. Even though it's, whatever. It's just, whatever. She should not admit to that in this scenario, in this moment, okay? From a legal perspective, I get that. But she's aware of the concept of that, right? The idea of it. So she's thought about it. Okay, that's step one in the process.
It's alcohol.
So
Not,
alcohol
again,
is the reason that you killed him?
you all,
Please sit down.
listen to me.
Please sit down.
You all, listen, not intentionally kill him.
So your intention.
I don't know what it is I need to
punish
do
him?
or how to do it or what to say or how to say it.
But what was your intention?
Everyone knows. Everyone knows everything that I've done for George and love him and continuously helped him throughout his life with me and made him a happier, better person.
And everybody has their limits.
Everyone knows that.
Everybody has their limits.
So it's like, okay, so while we're in a good place right now, I'm going to snap? Is that what it, while we're in a good place right now?
You did.
Yes. Absolutely. I got you on video screaming, fuck you.
While we're in a good place right now, I'm going to snap. Through the lens of battered wife. We're in a good place right now. Why would I do this? Not intentional. Done. Yeah, I almost want to take bets on how long the jury's going to be out. I just don't even see this being complicated at all. I see this being one of the scenarios where the jury has to go back talking about, y'all good? Anybody want a free lunch? Or should we just, don't sit down, don't take your jacket off. Let's take a poll. You know what I mean? I'm obviously being dramatic and jokey and whatnot and snarky, but I don't see this being that complicated. Not through the lens of what she's trying to say took place. In my opinion, her best thing would have been, well, number one, to plea out. Oh my God, we should have broken up a while ago. This was a very bad accident. Oh my God, what kind of plea deal do you have? Now, maybe they offered her one in the beginning that was bigger than 15 years, and now this is their second one. Because a lot of times what they'll do is they'll come, like, you almost have to play this game with them, right? Of like, here's the first thing we're going to throw at you, wait it out. Here's the second thing, whatever. So in my opinion, that 15 years might have been like a bottom line. This is what we're willing to do right now. But it could have been way high. It might have been like hey, we'll give you 22 and a half. Right now, plea out to that. And she was like, And then they were coming down to that. Maybe she would have taken 10, but at that point, I'm sure the prosecutors were like, no. After all, 5 years, no, absolutely not. Okay. Absolutely not, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this up for this session right here, okay? Puppies are starting to run around and do all their fun stuff, whatever. So we're going to revisit it. Maybe we'll finish the last one up in the next session or whatever. And then probably what I'll do is just combine them all. Now that I've gotten through it, it's just hard for me. I cannot go through this whole thing at 2.5 hours of this, and the blood pressure alone would send me over the edge. So let me know what you think in the comment section. If you're still watching, I do appreciate it. I know this was a long time to hang out on the sofa with me, and that has not gone unnoticed. And if you could drop some little sofas off in the comment section for myself, Rosco and Spirit, Bo and Luke, who are running around, so that we have a place to hang out while we talk about Sarah and all the other crazy cases we talk about here at the sofa. And until we meander our way down there to do so, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. Also, if you're looking for merch, be sure to check out my Teespring store. I'll put that up here. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Rosco on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.